The World Cup just claimed its first disqualification, one challenge, one decision. And just like that, the player's entire World Cup is over, not because of a result on the pitch, because of a punishment off it. And the story behind it has divided the football world completely. His name is Asim Modibo. And the question a lot of people are now asking is deeply uncomfortable. Did FIFA punish the crime, or did FIFA punish the bad luck? Let's go back to how this started. Canada versus Qatar in Vancouver. Canada cruising to their first ever World Cup win, a 6-0 demolition. In the 51st minute, Modibo came in late from behind on Canada's Ismail Koné and broke his leg, a double fracture of the tibia and fibula. Koné was carried off on a stretcher, went into surgery, and his World Cup ended right there. Canada's coach Jesse Marsh said you could hear the bone snap from the touchline. By every account, it was one of the most horrifying moments of the entire tournament. On Wednesday, FIFA handed down their verdict, a 5-match ban. Qatar are already eliminated. So 5 games stretches well beyond anything left in this World Cup. For all practical purposes, Modibo is done. And that's exactly where the controversy begins. Your gut reaction is probably good. Break a man's leg, face the consequences. That's fair, that's understandable, but here's where it gets genuinely complicated. If you go back and actually watch the challenge, separate from the devastating outcome, it's not what you'd expect. Koné had played the ball down the line. Modibo arrived a fraction too late and caught the back of his leg. It was a bad tackle. Clumsy, mistimed, poorly judged, but it wasn't a wild, 2-footed studs-up lunge designed to hurt someone. There was no malice in it. It was the kind of slightly late challenge that happens multiple times in every football match, except this one, through sheer terrible luck, landed at exactly the wrong angle and snapped a man's leg, and the people closest to it agreed. The referee's first instinct said everything. Christian Dingert initially showed a yellow card. He only upgraded it to red once the full horror of the injury became clear. Not because the tackle looked worse on replay, but because of what it had done. Even Jesse Marsh, understandably furious in the moment, said afterward that he didn't believe Modibo meant to cause that kind of harm. "I don't fault him for that," he said. Modibo himself was in tears on the pitch, hands behind his head. He went into Canada's dressing room after the match to apologize in person. He later visited Koné in hospital, and there's a photograph of Koné hugging him. The man whose leg was broken hugged the man who broke it. That tells you everything about the intent involved. So now ask the real question. If the referee's first instinct was yellow, if the victim forgave him, if the victim's own coach said he doesn't fault him, how does that become a 5-game ban? The uncomfortable answer that analysts keep landing on is this: FIFA didn't punish the tackle. FIFA punished the broken leg. That's the entire controversy in one sentence. The severity of the ban appears to be based almost entirely on how bad the injury turned out to be, not on how reckless the actual challenge was. And that sets a dangerous precedent. In football, the outcome of a tackle is often pure chance. The exact same challenge, same speed, same angle, same timing, can leave one player back on his feet in 30 seconds and another in surgery for months. If you punish the intent and the recklessness, you're judging the player. If you punish the result, you're judging his luck. And here's the proof, this is exactly what happened. While analysts were still writing about Modibo's ban, Brazil's Danilo took out Scotland's Kieran Tierney with a challenge that looked just as reckless, if not worse. Shin height, nasty, but Tierney got straight back up. No broken leg. The punishment? A yellow card, same category of foul. Completely different outcome. Completely different punishment. The only variable that changed was whether someone got seriously hurt. FIFA is grading the consequences, not the crime, and it gets worse. This is the same organization that has been remarkably flexible with bans when it suits them. Cristiano Ronaldo was sent off against Ireland in qualifying and technically should have missed Portugal's opening World Cup games. He didn't. Nicolas Otamendi and Moises Caicedo were both sent off in their final qualifiers and should have served bans. FIFA waved them through. FIFA's stated reason? So that every team can compete with their strongest squads on the biggest stage. So when it's a global superstar or a key player whose absence would affect the tournament's biggest matches, FIFA finds a way. But when it's Modibo, a relatively low-profile player from a team already heading home, suddenly the full weight of the rulebook lands on him. 5 games. No flexibility. No leniency. That feels less like justice and more like FIFA making an example of someone who was conveniently expendable. Modibo had represented Qatar 64 times at international level and had never once been sent off. There's no history of dirty play here. No pattern to justify the harshness. The Athletic asked FIFA directly whether there were any additional reasons behind the 5-game ban. FIFA said nothing beyond a brief statement citing serious foul play. No explanation, no breakdown, just a number that feels chosen to match the headline rather than the offense. To be fair, and this matters, FIFA does have an argument. The laws of the game define serious foul play as using excessive force or brutality, and you could reasonably argue that if a tackle is forceful enough to break a leg, the force was by definition excessive. A red card? Perhaps justifiable. The rulebook also states that serious foul play earns at minimum a 2-game ban. Add one more to send a clear message about dangerous challenges, fine, but 5 games. With no malice, no history, a referee who reached for yellow first, and a victim who hugged him in hospital. That's not justice, that's optics. Here's where it all lands. A player made a bad foul. He was desperately unlucky with what happened next. He apologized immediately. He visited the hospital. He was forgiven by the very person he injured, and FIFA's response was to effectively end his World Cup with a punishment that, by their own inconsistent standards, simply doesn't hold up. Qatar can appeal, and many are hoping they do. But as things stand, FIFA has done the one thing a fair disciplinary system should never do. It punished the outcome instead of the act. 5 games for a bad tackle. A yellow card for an identical one that just didn't hurt anyone. Does that sound like justice to you, or like FIFA reacting to a headline? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want the side of these stories that nobody else breaks down properly, you know where the subscribe button is.